All right, and we're going live. How's everybody doing? This is Jose Trujillo. I'm the world's greatest living artist, coming to you here on Facebook Live. And today, Thursday, we're talking about being an artist, right? What's the whole thing about being an artist? How's it going? How's it going, Walker? Good seeing you. Welcome. And let's get started while some other people start joining in. I'm going to be talking about what we're doing, what we're going to be doing today, what the Thursdays are, okay? Thursdays are about being an artist. I'm going to be talking about the challenges and the things that make up an artist, or that we face, not necessarily make up, but that we face as artists. The hurdles, the rings with fire, and all sorts of things. So every Thursday we're going to dedicate for this. Hi, Marcia. Thank you so much. I'm so modest. I am. I just happen to be the world's greatest living artist. So today, every Thursday, it's going to be about being an artist, okay? Mondays, don't forget, Mondays, ask the artist any questions you have or comments or especially things that have been kind of things you haven't figured out yet that you might think, or you might think that maybe I figured something out that you haven't, or little questions that you may have, big questions, it doesn't matter. That's on Mondays. Mondays, ask the artist. Tuesdays, it's going to be about art marketing. Wednesdays, I'm going to do a live session like I did yesterday. And Thursdays, it's everything about being an artist. I'm still thinking about what's going to be for Friday, but we'll come up with that later. So today I want to talk about time. The whole idea of time in being an artist. What are the challenges that come up when because we all have 24 hours in a day. So we as artists we all work differently. See, if you are if you work as a professional in another industry or whatever, you tend to use time for the most part, right? You use time by the hour. You say, well, in this hour I'm going to do this, or this I'm going to do that. But as artists, we tend to consume time differently. At least that's what we think. We're taught that. Some people tell us that. We'll be saying stuff like, "My work takes longer than yours," or "My work takes it takes less time than other artists," or we have this sort of thing, or it's very labor intensive. We call that too. We like to say that about our artwork. Some of it is very labor intensive. Some of it is not, and so saying that we tend to have a distortion idea of time if we're not careful, because I think it's something that is really not talked about a lot in artwork, in artists. Whether you paint or you create jewelry or you sculpt, whatever you do, we tend to think that time is very limited and it's not on our side, and we often use that. We often use those words. I don't have enough time. How many times have you caught yourself saying that? I don't have enough time. Or I didn't show up to the studio because I didn't have enough time, and I didn't have enough time. And it's all about this time because we're thinking about how labor intensive whatever we're going to do. I got to clean up the studio. I got to do this. We think of tasks, right? And we use I don't have time in order to complete those tasks, because one of the things that I've learned lately is that this is an illusion. And I know it sounds a bit esoteric, right? The whole idea of time. And guys, if you guys have any questions or you guys have any comments, please share them. I do not know everything. I'm sharing my experience. These are just my experiences. This is not this is not it's not written in stone, but it's things that have worked for me and that have helped me go through challenges. One of the things that I do, that some of you guys have noticed, when I paint, I don't think about it, because if I start thinking about it, I will slow down, start procrastinating, and I will start thinking about time. And so I remove that, and then I just plow forward. It's one of the things that I learned. I did not learn this from artists, unfortunately. I learned it from other industries. But as I went back and I started looking at artists, I started looking at the very big wig artists, the very big wig. They seemed, and some of them actually verbalized, that they worked like that they didn't think about it, that they didn't. I mean, one of the very first ones that I ever read about saying something like that was Raphael. Raphael said, "Oh, this fly has been bugging me all morning." Raphael said, "When one paints, one does not think, right? Because all sorts of things start happening." And I know I'm mixing a little bit of the whole thinking thing, as is my usual topic when I paint, but it has a lot to do with time. I mean, they're linked. They're linked because if you're thinking, you're creating this idea of time, this false idea. Although it's in the practical sense it's true, but in the psychological sense it's false. So what we tend to do, or what people teach us is time management, right? We're like, oh, we got to manage time. We got to manage time. This is one of the things that I excuse me, that I've struggled with as an artist. The whole idea of time management. So what did I do? I started going and learning from other professionals that were not artists, were in other industries. And a lot of people started talking about time management. I attended seminars and talks, and I bought books, and I was soaking myself into this because I needed to go beyond this idea, this false illusion of time, and I couldn't figure out how, right? And so people started talking to me about time management, everything about time management. Look, you have to manage time. You have to allocate time for for this, for that, and you have to, and then, but it still didn't work for me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it works for some people. I wasn't as productive enough. I couldn't produce enough because being an artist, as romantic as we like to think about, for me, right, is I had to let that romantic notion go because it was keeping me in a place where I only produce when I felt like I had time and I felt like I was inspired, and that created a lot of problems, especially if you want to be a full-time artist. It created a lot of problems. You cannot just show up when you feel like it, when you feel like you have time, or I have time, now I'm going to go paint. Right? If you want to be professional, if you want to live off of this is what I'm trying to say. If you want to create a career or a business out of it, or if you want to, if you just want to learn how to paint, by all means, I mean, that's the best thing to do, right? Oh, I got 30 minutes, I'm going to go paint. That's great. You come out of your work and you're like, it's 5 o'clock or 6 or whatever, and you're like, oh, I got 2 hours to paint. That's awesome. In no way I'm saying that this is not the way. This is the way. If you're an artist, but you have another profession. But if you are an artist and you want to make that your only profession, there is a problem when you just start showing up. How's it going, Ruth? When you just start showing up when you want to, when you feel like it, and or when you are when you feel like the muse, right? When you feel like the muse is there, when you feel like you have this time there, then you start having a problem there because your production level will come down significantly. So what did I have to do? I have to go look, right? And I have to start thinking about it, and well, not thinking about it, but I have to start looking for people that knew about this subject. And the very first people that I started seeing that understood this were professionals in the sales industry, right? Your Brian Tracy's, your Tony Robbins. These guys started talking about time, and some of them even talked about time management, as I was mentioning right now. What I realized is that you don't want to manage time. The moment that you start wanting to manage time, your production level will also start shaking, because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to balance things, right? And it's a great idea. It's a very beautiful notion, but I believe that the whole idea of balancing tasks, balancing time, comes from a lack of understanding a bit that when you're after something, you have to go full in, and you have to give it 100% in everything in the time being. So for example, this is one of the things, the very first things I started learning about time. You want to be able to create it. You want to be able to own it. How do we do that if we only have 24 hours a day? Well, you jam pack activity in pockets of time. This for me, this was revolutionary because I've always thought like, oh, okay, from Monday through Friday, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., I'm going to work on my art marketing. And, and from 8 to 9, I'm going to do this and blah, 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 allocating gaps, huge gaps. We don't think they're big, but they're huge. An hour is a huge gap of time. When you're able to jam pack activity in pockets, this is one of the latest things that I've learned. Let's say you start looking at your day in 15-minute pockets, in 30-minute pockets if you're not ready, 30-minute pockets rather than an hour, right? And you jam pack everything you can do. And many people think stress about that, and they start thinking, well, it's going to come out wrong, right? It's not going to look great. It's going to, I'm going to sound stupid, right? Like, for example, if I wanted to do this video, right, in 30 minutes, this is one of the things that I allocated. Most people, or my older self, would have been like, oh man, look at my hair. I'm not ready. Or my studio's messy. I should have a painting back here so people see my painting and blah, 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 blah. One of the things that I've learned when it comes to time is that we automatically go to perfectionism. And when you go to perfectionism, you start killing time. See, perfectionism, as I mentioned in other videos with you guys, perfectionism is a false idea of what things should be like, right? Even Dali said, for those artists out there that like Dali, he said, don't reach for perfectionism. It's a false idea. You're never going to get it. And I think that it serves, well, this fly. It's a false idea, and this idea prevents us from moving forward. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go nilly-willy, right? You have to know what you're doing. You have to train. For example, if I'm going to talk about time, I can't go research and try to talk about time. This is experiential. I'm talking to you guys about something I know, so I can do it on the fly. I don't have to go research. The moment I have to go research about it, then I can't really talk about it. Now my gap is going to get longer. I hope I'm getting my point across here. For example, if I'm going to do one of the painting sessions that I do on Wednesdays at noon, I can't go research a landscape or a still life, because the moment I start doing that, then it starts eating time. So I can only talk about and I can only paint what I know. If I don't know something, like if I start talking to you guys about Renaissance painting and how do you do Renaissance painting, I'm going to have to go research that. I'm going to have to go practice that. I'm going to have to see. So now I'm talking about something that I don't know, something I have no experience in. And at that point, I'm killing time. So going back, taking a few steps back, why is it so important for us as artists to not necessarily just allocate time, but jam-pack activity in pockets of time? Normally what we do, okay, is that, I'm going to go paint in the studio. So we'll say, I have 3 hours to paint. But when we get into the studio, okay, this is very important right here, for those of you who are career artists. When we get into the studio, we start cleaning the studio, or we realize we don't have something to, a color, and we have to rush through to the art store, to the nearest art store, and we forget, I don't have a latte, and I have to go get my coffee. I have to go get my coffee. And we start doing all these things, and by the end of the day, not just that, we start researching on what painting we're gonna do. Let me look through my art books. Let me look through my sketches and whatnot. By the time we get to painting, we already killed all that time. And see, it's not necessarily about being prepared, because most people would think it's about being prepared only. There's part of that in there, but it's like Picasso said, when I don't have blue, I use red. And some people take that as, Picasso's so awesome. How's it going, Barbara? Thank you so much for showing up. So many people might think, Picasso's trying to talk about that he's so free and whatnot. No, Picasso was talking about, in my opinion, and from my experience being an artist, Picasso was talking about showing up regardless of what the conditions are. Showing up regardless of the conditions. If you notice, a lot of Picasso's paintings, he created these huge, large paintings he created in these really small studios. How many of us have not been thinking about we need a bigger studio in order to create paintings? Barbara asks a question here. I love your videos and your concepts of art. Thank you so much, Barbara. You have also brought to light some artists I knew only by name and some of their work. Thank you. So Picasso is talking about jam-packing things. See, one of the things that Picasso did, and I say Picasso, and whether you like his artwork or not, I'm talking about the work ethic and how he used time. Okay? And please, if you guys have any questions regarding this, or any, if you guys don't agree with what I'm saying, please let me know. It's fine. It's okay. It's a conversation. I know it seems one way, but I'm only expressing my experiences. This is not the end all be all, right? This is not truth set in stone. These are just my experiences. But that's one of the things that I've seen when I talk about Picasso is his work ethic and how he used time. There was the Day of Liberation in Spain. He actually created this is historic. He created 5 large paintings in his studio while bullets were flying. You know, one of the bullets hit the studio, and that's when he realized, you know what, I have to leave. But I mean, you're talking about a very intense person, right? And most artists were like that in his time and before him, and you know, the bigwig artists. So that kind of thing, that concept has always really intrigued me. How do these people use time? The whole idea of time it's really has a lot to do with lack. We tend to think about lack when we think of time, okay? For those of you who are barely showing up right now, I'm talking about time and how artists use time and why is it a challenge and how we can overcome that challenge, okay? So when we start talking about balancing time and balancing activities, we tend to tackle them as a lack. Right? Oh, I have to go run and get this. I have to go run and do that. And we tend to think there is not enough of that. Because we're thinking that an activity should take so much time, right? We're basing it on not having the muscle to perform an activity quicker. This is one of the reasons that I believe that a lot of the very big artists have big volumes of artwork, and I've been eyeing a couple of artists, big artists from China lately, and my God, they have these huge volumes of artwork. How's it going, David? Thank you so much for joining in. And these artists, in my opinion, they tend to use time so wise because again, they get what they have, right? They say, I'm going to go create that painting, right? And this is stuff that I read from them. This is stuff that I've experienced in myself. But again, I didn't learn this from artists. I learned this from other industry professionals. They'll go into the canvas and they'll say, I'm going to create that with the amount of time that I have. And they might not finish it. You might not finish it, but you will allocate 30 minutes, right? And you will jam-pack it. And this type of activity seems to be contrary to perfectionism. This actually makes us shake a little bit. This actually twists our stomach, and we tend to think, you know what, this is not the way because we're thinking about all sorts of things. We're thinking about, for example, if you're an artist, if you're a painter, we're thinking about values, composition, all of these things. That's why you can't go nilly-willy. You have to know first, right? You have to know. But even if you don't know, if you're going to go learn color mixing, right? Don't try to get to a perfect state. Just get going, get going, get going. Like learn your ABCs, practice them. 15 minutes, jam-pack that practice. 15 minutes a day. It's sort of like training. You know, if you're gonna do any sort of physical activity, physical training, you're gonna do basketball, or whatever. This is what I've learned from one of the coaches that he was coaching.